So let's say, okay, you end up releasing yourself, releasing that sexual energy into whatever you're working on. But at the end of it, you still want sex. I would say while you're having sex, you want to visualize what you're creating, the birth of it, the fruition of it, the success of it, the reality of it. Visualize it and feel the emotions of it while you're having sex. So this is what I got from this chapter. This is what came in, and this is kind of like what I do, to be honest. So excited to continue our reading of Napoleon Hill's book Think and Grow Rich. So this chapter is on the mystery of sex transmutation, the 10th step toward riches. The meaning of the word transmute is, in simple language, the changing or transferring of one element or form of energy into another. The emotion of sex brings into being a state of mind. Because of ignorance on the subject, this state of mind is generally associated with the physical, and because of improper influences to which most people have been subjected in acquiring knowledge of sex, things essentially physical have highly biased the mind. The emotion of sex has back of it the possibility of 3 constructive potentialities. They are: 1. The perpetuation of mankind. 2. The maintenance of health. 3. The transformation of mediocrity into genius through transmutation. Sex transmutation is simple and easily explained. It means the switching of the mind from thoughts of physical expression to thoughts of some other nature. Sex desire is the most powerful of human desires. When driven by this desire, men develop keenness of imagination, courage, willpower, persistence, and creative ability unknown to them at other times. So strong and impelling is the desire of sexual contact that men freely run the risk of life and reputation to indulge it. When harnessed and redirected along other lines, this motivating force maintains all of its attributes of keenness of imagination, courage, etc., which may be used as powerful creative forces in literature, art, or in any other professional calling, including, of course, the accumulation of riches. The transmutation of sex energy calls for the exercise of willpower, to be sure, but the reward is worth the effort. The desire for sexual expression is inborn and natural. The desire cannot and should not be submerged or eliminated, but it should be given an outlet through forms of expression, which enrich the body, mind, and spirit of man. If not given this form of outlet through transmission, it will seek outlets through purely physical channels. Okay. The transmutation of sex energy calls for the exercise of willpower, to be sure, but the reward is worth the effort. The desire for sexual expression is inborn and natural. The desire cannot and should not be submerged or eliminated, but it should be given an outlet through forms of expression which enrich the body, mind, and spirit of man. If not given this form of outlet, the transmutation, it will seek outlets through purely physical channels. A river may be dammed and its water controlled for a time, but eventually it will force an outlet. The same is true of the emotion of sex. It may be submerged and controlled for a time, but its very nature causes it to be ever seeking means of expression. If it is not transmuted into some creative efforts, it will find a less worthy outlet. The storehouse of personal magnetism. A teacher who has trained and directed the efforts of more than 30 salespeople made the astounding discovery that highly sexed men are the most efficient salesmen. The explanation is that the factor of personality known as personal magnetism is nothing more nor less than sex energy. Highly sexed people always have a plentiful supply of magnetism. Through cultivation and understanding, this vital force may be drawn upon and used to great advantage in the relationships between people. This energy may be communicated to others through the following media. 1. The handshake. 2. The tone of voice. 3. Posture and carriage of the body. Highly sexed people move briskly and with grace and ease. 4. The vibrations of thoughts. Highly sexed people mix the emotion of sex with their thoughts, or may do so at will, and in that way may influence those around them. 5. Body adornments. People who are highly sexed are usually very careful about their personal appearance. They usually select clothing of a style becoming to their personality, physique, complexion, etc. When employing salesmen, the more capable sales manager looks for the quality of personal magnetism as the first requirement of a salesman. People who lack sex energy will never become enthusiastic nor inspire others with enthusiasm, and enthusiasm is one of the most important requisites in salesmanship, no matter what one is selling. Enthusiasm. The public speaker, orator, preacher, lawyer, or salesman who is lacking in sex energy is a flop as far as being able to influence others is concerned. Coupled with this, the fact that most people can be influenced only through an appeal of their emotions, and you will understand the importance of sex energy as a part of the salesman's native ability. Master salesmen attain the status of mastery in selling because they either consciously or unconsciously transmute the energy of sex into sales enthusiasm. In this statement may be found a very practical suggestion as to the actual meaning of sex transmutation. The salesman who knows how to take his mind off the subject of sex and direct it in sales without as much enthusiasm and determination as he would apply to its original purpose has acquired the art of sex transmutation, whether he knows it or not. The majority of salesmen who transmute their sex energy do so without being in the least aware of what they are doing or how they are doing it. Transmutation of sex energy calls for more willpower than the average person cares to use for its purpose. Those who find it difficult to summon willpower sufficient for transmutation may gradually acquire this ability. Though this requires willpower, the reward for the practice is more than worth the efforts. False beliefs about sex harm the personality. The entire subject of sex is one about which the majority of people appear to be unpardonably ignorant. The urge of sex has been grossly misunderstood, slandered, and skewed by the ignorant and the evil-minded. Men and women who are known to be blessed, yes, blessed, with highly sexual natures are usually looked upon as being people who will bear watching. Instead of being called blessed, they are usually called cursed. Millions of people, even in this age of enlightenment, have inferiority complexes which they develop because of this false belief that a highly sex nature is a curse. These statements of the virtue of sex energy should not be constructed as justification for the libertine. The emotion of sex is a virtue only when used intelligently and with discrimination. It may be misused and often is, to such an extent that it debases, instead of enriches, both body and mind. It seemed quite significant to the author when he made a discovery that practically every great leader whom he had the privilege of analyzing was a man whose achievements were largely inspired by a woman. In many instances, the woman in the case was a modest, self-denying wife of whom the public had heard but little or nothing. In few instances, the source of inspiration has been traced to the other woman. Every intelligent person knows that stimulation in excess through alcoholic drink and narcotics is a destructive form of intemperance. Not every person knows, however, that overindulgence in sex expression may become a habit as destructive and as detrimental to creative effort as narcotics or liquor. A sex-mad man is not essentially different from a dope-mad man. Both have lost control over their faculties of reason and grow out of the habits developed in ignorance of the true function of sex. It may be readily seen that ignorance on the subject of sex transmutation forces stupendous penalties upon the ignorant on the one hand and withholds from them equally stupendous benefits on the other. Widespread ignorance on the subject of sex is due to the fact that the subject has been surrounded with mystery and dark silence. So my takeaways from today's reading is allow the sexual energy to be released in another way. So how I could see that being actualized is that if you're feeling for sex, you take that feeling, that energy, and then start doing the things that you are working on, the things that you're working on to make money, the things that you want to expand. You go do those things. You could also see this as like while you're having sex. So let's say, okay, you end up releasing yourself, releasing that sexual energy into whatever you're working on. But at the end of it, you still want sex. I would say while you're having sex, you want to visualize what you're creating, the birth of it, the fruition of it, the success of it, the reality of it. Visualize it and feel the emotions of it while you're having sex. So this is what I got from this chapter. This is what came in, and this is kind of like what I do, to be honest. So yeah, the mystery of sex transmutation. Any more takeaways? Oh, and like when he spoke about the storehouse of personal magnetism. So when I think about that personal magnetism, it's like, okay, the ability to attract things to you, the ability to influence people around you based on just based on being you, just on from yourself, not like needing external things to do that. So the first thing is your handshake, your tone of voice, your posture and the carriage of your body, your vibrations of thoughts, and your body adornments. Let me see, anything else? Good afternoon. Thank you. Good. Let's see. Right, and then the last part of the uselessness of wealth without woman. I love this part because it's like it's so good. I could read it over again. You know, man's greatest motivating force is his desire to please a woman. Yo, who run the world? Girls, women, boss, girls. So this book is it filled with so much good stuff, and I love reading it here on my channel. Remember to like, subscribe, share to the world, share to anyone that you think would be interested and would love to be reading with us. So share it to them and like, comment your takeaways. What are your takeaways of this chapter? And I'll see you in this video here. Bye.